listening to this very interesting conversation about the bill that's before us, an act concerning school emergency response systems. And I just found it interesting, the discussion about the focus on hardware, that we use in our schools for safety purposes. And I'm just curious, and through you, Madam President, I just have a few questions for the proponent of the bill. Maybe the good chairman of this committee could let me know, when did this program begin, if she knows, through you?
Thank you, Senator Marr.
Well, this bill was started after Sandy Hook Promise was put in place. The bill came out in 2013, and has been used since then. I believe in 2024, an analysis was done that said that it was $66 million have been used throughout the state to put in these security systems. Security systems, whatever way the school used them, not this in particular.
Thank you, Senator Sampson.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate that answer. And I honestly didn't know the answer offhand. I've just taken a look at this bill for the first time today. I don't serve on this committee, of course. But that's what I suspected. And I was here back during that very, very terrible time when that tragedy occurred in Sandy Hook, and we came together as a legislature to try and resolve that in a way that would maybe hopefully help prevent a terrible tragedy like that from happening again. And knock on wood, thank heavens we haven't had a similar incident. I don't know if that's a matter of policy or luck, frankly, but I do feel we have an obligation to try and maintain the safety of our kids in a school setting, as a state government. I was frustrated at the time, frankly, because one of the first reactions was to divide us up into 3 categories in response. There was going to be a group of folks that were going to work on gun control legislation, and then there was another group that was going to work on mental health awareness and policy, and then there was a third component, which was the school safety component. And I was the ranking member of the insurance committee when I was in the House, so I got put on the mental health piece. And subsequently, that bill went through a lot of different iterations till we finally voted on it and passed it into law. And I got up and spoke in opposition, primarily because I didn't feel that it did enough to actually address the problem. And frankly, I believe it was co-opted in many ways to promote a long-standing gun control agenda. And a lot of that legislation wouldn't have had any effect on the incident that occurred in Newtown, but that's politics. But one of the things that came up during all of that conversation was the subject of school resource officers. Because for me, that is the #1 policy change that could have been made in the wake of that tragedy that would have had a real impact. Because we all know that the obtaining of a legal firearm is something that can happen regardless of our laws. And in fact, even in that incident, the individual obtained his gun through illegal means. And people are still able to purchase guns in other states or to buy them illegally and so forth. So that's something maybe worth addressing by cracking down on the illegal transfer of firearms, certainly. But I don't think that is the end-all, be-all to the resolution of protecting kids in a school setting. I think the only way to truly do that is to put some larger and more real impediment in front of them. And for me, that's a school resource officer, the proverbial a good guy with a gun, to be in a situation where they can actually stop something from happening because they're there. I mean, you can do all of the things that are indicated in this underlying legislation. You can talk about bulletproof glass and securing locking systems and so forth, and those all have their place, no doubt. But are those the kind of things that would actually stop someone who is determined to cause mayhem? And I don't think the answer is yes. I think the best solution is indeed a school resource officer. Through you, Madam President, just a couple of questions. I'm hoping the gentle lady can kind of share with me what type of things this program is able to pay for currently. I understand the new addition that we're discussing today, but what other types of things are covered by it, and what types of things are traditionally granted? You know, I mean, how's this program working, frankly, is what I'm asking. What's the money being used for, through you?
Thank you, Senator Marr.
Thank you, Madam President. Senator, right now, included in the bill, it says, included but not limited to the installation of surveillance cameras, penetration-resistant vestibules, ballistic glass, solid core doors, double door access, computer-controlled electronic locks, entry door buzzer systems, scan card systems, panic alarms, and now this new emergency response and personal emergency communication system. And I can say that perhaps one of the reasons that we do have less crime and we, knock on wood, have not had another incident in Connecticut similar to Sandy Hook may have something to do with our gun laws.
Thank you, and we'll keep it to the bill. Senator Sampson.
Thank you very much, Madam President. We'll just have to agree to disagree on that subject. Again, I'll just repeat that nothing that was passed in the wake of Sandy Hook had any impact on that incident, because none of those laws would have made any difference in that particular case. And to this day, and now we're talking 12 years later, 13 years later, we are still discussing that terrible tragedy and ways to resolve it. And I'm glad that we're discussing this legislation that is before us, because I think this is a positive step. I think that if we continue to work on increasing the security of schools, that is a good thing. And I'm very much in favor of this bill and do intend on supporting it. However, I do believe the fact that we've never really truly addressed the value of school resource officers in legislation stands out to me as a failure in policy for this legislature. And as a result, Madam President, I have an amendment. It is LCO 7581, if my eyes aren't playing tricks on me. I ask that the clerk call this amendment, and then I be given leave of the chamber to summarize.
Mr. Clerk.
LCO number 7581, Senator Bebede.
Senator Sampson.
Thank you very much, Madam President. This is a very simple amendment. What it would do is it would effectively keep the underlying bill intact and just add on to it the additional ability for this grant program to allow the funds to be used to pay for school resource officers. And if this is just kind of like to jumpstart school districts, it would allow for 50% of the salary of that school resource officer in the first year, and then 25%, and then diminishing thereafter. This is a way to kind of ease districts and give them the ability to kind of get it started. And I think it's a good policy. I think it's something that we have failed to do year in and year out. And I think that it's something that, if we truly care about bolstering security in schools, a good guy with a gun, a school resource officer, I think is the best answer. And I hope that my colleagues will support this amendment. And I'd ask for a roll call vote. Thank you.
Senator, we are just trying to get the appropriate amendment up on the board. And while we're doing that, if you would like to respond, Senator Marr.
Thank you.
Senator Marr.
I appreciate that, Madam President. I was the interim executive director at Sandy Hook Promise, and I saw up close and personal the impact that this had on our children and to the families. And I know that this has had a massive impact on all of our school children and on parents in Connecticut. And providing something that, like this response card, to the students, especially Elijah Falkenstein and Xander Bauer, who came to me and asked me to bring this bill forward. I believe this will give them a tremendous amount of security, knowing that this bill gets voted out of the chamber and also is passed. And I know that in many of our schools, we do have school security officers, and
If you would.
This is the tally for Senate Amendment A, Senate Bill 1216. Total number voting 36, total voting yea 11, total voting nay 25. As for not voting 0.